Okay, so today we have a leak. Last time I was fueling this thing up, got water dripping out the front. I can smell the coolant. Some time ago, this top hose here went on me. I thought I'd blown a water pump, so I bought a new water pump. I haven't used it yet. This has been a couple of years now, at least. Now I have something leaking. If you can see the how rusty and stuff it looks down there. The water's coming from in here somewhere. I can't tell where. It's a possibility it's this other hose down there. I'm gonna start pulling stuff off the top here so I get access to that area. Looks like I'm gonna have to put the idler pulley. If I get close enough to the water pump, I'm probably gonna go ahead and change the water pump just because I have one. Now would be the time to do it. So we're gonna get started. We're back to sun going down at 5:45-ish. So I'm gonna set up a light out here. I'm gonna work on this thing for at least an hour tonight. Get started because I'm down to one working vehicle again, and 1 out of 4 I don't like that. So we're gonna get moving. Disconnect the battery, start pulling stuff. Okay, here we go. Alright, pardon me while I swap mosquitoes. To pull this cover off, you got 1, 2, 3 bolts up here, which they are, what are they? Oh dear. They're just simply 10 millimeters. And then there's another one down here, which is straight down here, and another one over there, and another one down that corner, and that corner over there, and then the top of this sucker I just pulled the cross cable, battery cable that goes to the relay box or whatever the heck that brain thing is over there. Get that out of the way. I'm starting to wanted to pull this thing off of here and clean it up and paint it. So I forgot you gotta take the whole pulley assembly, which is some special tool thing you gotta put in there. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna paint it right where it is. I'm gonna take the belt off. That takes a 3/8 drive ratchet. You just simply put it in that slot right there. And you pushed it, ouch, mosquitoes, down that way to relieve the tension, get the belt off. See that? Push it down. Okay, well, I can't do it one-handed. And then you take the belt off. And then I want to keep digging until I figure out what's going on. Well, the mosquitoes eat me. So far, the mosquitoes are winning. So we'll see how long I keep going here. Alright, so I got the belt off. And then I took the idler pulley thingy. It goes right there. Pull that. 1/2 inch comes out of here. Watch out when you pull it, there's a bearing back here that falls out and drops onto the bottom there and tries to escape. Don't forget to put something underneath there on the ground, which gives me access to this hose. There, that, and that. There's about 5/16 clamps. It's hard to see through this, what I'm looking at. Anyway, down there's a clamp. There's a clamp. I'm gonna pull this hose out of here, and I'll be changing that hose probably anyway. But then I'll get a little clearer shot back in there. I'm painting my water pump, getting it ready, because I'm gonna go ahead and change the water pump anyway, since I'm already in here, and it's been 2 years since I've had that water pump, so don't want it to go to waste. You can see something's leaking pretty significantly in there, so I'm gonna do that and probably check this other hose too, although this is the new one. So now I pull that and see what happens. See what we see. Okay, so I'm trying to get this nut loose to take the fan off. I'm using a big pair of pressing wrench and a hammer But you got to be careful. First leave the belt on there, otherwise you'll end up doing something like this and you overheat it. So I got a blow dryer on there. I'm going to heat that sucker up. I got some TV blaster on it. I'm going to see if I can knock that thing loose. I don't have a rivet gun. Well, I do have a rivet gun. In another video they show you a tool to put on there and blast it with the smacking of a rivet gun. If I have to, I'm going to somehow tape it to this sinking crescent wrench on the back because it's kind of precarious. So I'm going to see what happens now with this little heat on this nut, see if I can get this fan off of there. And while I got the pulley on there, I'll get these bolts off the front pulley as well, so I can get the water pump out of the way. And we'll go from there, start cleaning things up. Kudos to the internet. I don't remember the guy's name. Maybe I'll try to look him up and give him a good shout out. Beating the heck out of that thing with my crescent wrench, wasn't going anywhere, and the key, my pulley kept turning. This is exactly what it said. Pulley's turning. I had this thing here to put it back on. Tighten up your pulley. Pull some tension on that. It'll keep that sucker going. All it took was one pop. Of course, you know, I've been heating it up and beating on it. So, but I'm going to say that worked excellently well to get that off of there. Yummy. And 10mm on these bolts. Make sure you just leave the belt on there to keep them tight, and they'll come right out as well. So they will come right out as well. I already had that one loosened up. Alright, so they're loose. I'm going to take the belt back off, and then I'll go ahead and pull those out of there. Of course, you take the belt off. No, the other way around. By taking that down, and it gives you some slop, and you can pull that right off of there. I think I did this already the same exact way. Alright, so that'll come off of there now, no problem. And then I can get access to the water pump bolts, which are 9/16, I believe. I also have to dump the water. So, alright, cruising on. Alright, on first poke, I'm poking around back there. I've got a mirror stuck in there. It's a little round mirror, and I'm just looking at the back of the water pump. Everything's all wet back there. Let's see if we can focus in on that. Ay, caramba. It's a pain in the butt. I've had to switch to my phone. My camera won't focus. So, jeez. So if you look at that, there's max magnification. That looks like a hole to me. It's not real good. Camera's not doing great, but that looks like a hole. I'm going to poke around a little more, but that would certainly do it. That's the back side of the water pump, which is basically good, because that means I can change my water pump for a purpose, not just as a preemptive, just in case someday. If you look in there, let's see, all that gook and stuff, it's been leaking there for a while. So a little pinhole, it looks like. Well, a little more than a pinhole. So let me poke around a little more, but I think that's probably the issue. Alright, so 14mm on those water pump bolts, which I guess is probably 9/16 as well. I got it nice and ooey gooey down there. It looks nasty. I'm going to pull all that, pull it. I'm just going to clean it all. I don't know what the, ugh. Oh yeah, a little hole in the back of the water pump here. Nasty water pump looking thing. There's the little hole. I'm assuming that's got to be mosquitoes. That's got to be a issue there, huh? So nasty. The water's in there nasty. I changed the radiator not too many years ago, so I put new coolant in it, but got to drain all that too. Coolant's nasty. Alright, keep going. Okay, so we have cleaned up the front of the engine. The gaskets pretty much came off nice and easy, and then I used probably a couple of cans of brake clean after I took my blaster and blew it in this hole right here and blew out most of the water out of the engine and cleaned up all around in here. So I'm getting ready to reinstall, and I got a few things. I have replaced this idler not too long ago. It's nice and tight. And new parts. I got a new radiator cap. Oh my, can't have that. I put it on backwards. Not that it matters, it's coming out again anyway. That's how you install it where you don't install it. So push it down. There we go. That's the way it's going to end up being when I'm done. Here we go. I cleaned up with my favorite thing, brake clean. I usually use a wear over wherever comes from discount auto parts. You can usually buy it 2 for 1 every few months. Hasn't come on sale for a while though. I buy a case and get a free case. It's really great for degreasing stuff. The idler pulley I didn't like the looks of, although it's pretty new too, so I got another one. Fan pulley, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a pretty good ridge in here. Bought a new one, 15 bucks from through eBay. The clutch I'd replaced not too long ago. Advance has these hoses. They call this the heater bypass hose, and if you look at heater bypass hoses on their website, they actually have 2 of them listed. The other one I just took a shot at because it looked right, and yes indeed it will be. It just has to be cut down. Water pump, which I've had actually for 2 years because I thought I had a leak in it, which, well, I guess I really did. So I painted it, primed and painted, cleaned the rust off that was sitting on it for 2 years. The old one, which I was actually correct on about having a problem, it has that little hole right in there, so it's been spewing water for who knows how long. Look, nice. You can see how nice and lovely it looks. Truck's got 298,000 miles on it. I don't know when that was done last, so I don't remember doing it. So I've had it for 100,000 miles. Never did it, so it's time anyway. 4 bolts for the water pump. This one right here, whichever one you choose, is a through bolt, goes through into the engine and the cooling system, so this one has to be sealed up. It looks like that's probably the one that had some sealer on it, so we're going to make sure we put some paste on to seal that one up. Got a new thermostat. Note this seal goes around. It's got a groove in it. You push it around. This is going to get sandwiched in between the cover, and I'm going to do that last. Once I get this on, in case water leaks all over the place, and I've already cleaned and dried everything up in there. My fan was looking pretty ratty, so I went ahead and cleaned it up and primed and painted it. So things are going to look pretty good. My thermostat housing comes off. I'll probably end up cleaning that and painting it too. So anyway, that's what we're getting about to do. We're just going to slap that sucker down in there. I'm going to use my Permatex number 2 on the gaskets. The gaskets have got a funny 3-hole configuration. You'll see this one has a 3-hole on it. Come over to the water pump and you'll see that it does not have a 3-hole configuration. They're kind of a generic gasket, I believe, because they have that extra 3 holes on it. So I'm just going to put them facing down, just leave them on there. Makes it easier to pull them off the next time if I ever end up doing that again. It's already got 300,000 on it, so the thermostat's in there. Like I said, I'm not going to pull that out till I get the water pump on it, and then I can put the new hoses, cut that one to fit. This one here, no problem. That one will have to be cut to fit. So, and then I'm going to hose this all down with WD-40 because I don't like my aluminum parts corroding like that. Anyway, let's get that set up and go from there. Okay, good old Permatex number 2. The reason we use that is because it does not harden. It stays pliable, will seal up forever. You apply it to the flange, then you apply it to the back of this gasket. This one I'm putting it all the way on the bottom here, around this hole, because it has that hole on the block. So no need to bother, it's nothing there. And then I'm putting the PTFE paste on that lower right one, smeared around there good. As the threads engage, it's going to push the stuff all the way back up in here, and it'll eventually fill this entire well with sealer, so that ain't going to leak no how, no way. Okay. Alright, so the gasket sealer will hold the gaskets in place as if you put the bolts, just start them through the gasket and bring them down so the bolts are in place. Set it in there. This configuration I use 14mm deep socket is what I use. So you can reach in and screw them in by hand as you go. One hand holding the pump the other hand screwing them in. And because I'm so anal, it's a really good idea. Get a mirror or something. And you want to check the bottom and make sure that gasket is in the right place so it hasn't pushed out, and you can't really see it probably, but I can see the bottom extra hole sticking out straight out the bottom. This one, it's sticking out right out the bottom, matches up with that hole. There's nothing that goes in there, so verify that that's in there. I'm going to torque those up. Don't have the exact torque specs. I'm going to make them tight but not too tight. How's that for technicalities? And then we're going to start in on our hoses. No, we won't start on our hoses. The next thing we're going to do is change that thermostat. Alright. And just a quick reminder, when you're tightening these up, snug them up by hand first, then go around and put the ratchet on it and snug each one, all four first, so that they're all snug, which means they all turn in, and then you can feel them sort of bottom out on the flanges. Then go around, tighten them a little tighter, and you can just do these 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go back and tighten a little more on all four of them, and then final tightening on 1, 2, 3, 4. So do it in 3 steps, 4 steps if you count the snugging. So that way it gets all on even. You make sure everything's going in straight, nice and pretty. So those are torqued up, and we'll get ready for the next one. Okay, full thermostat's no big deal. It's got a 14mm nut on top of this outer stud, which goes in there. These are 13mm. Pop them off of there. First you got to pop the hose. It comes right out over there. I cleaned the housing up. I took a Scotch-Brite wheel to it. It's got little pits and stuff around it. I'm not going to paint it because I'm trying to get this project done. Thermostat actually just sits in here in that little well. Oh, I used some old sandpaper to clean up that little well too. It was all nasty looking. So it seals in there. Gasket, I said you sandwich the thermostat in between the gasket. You see there's a groove in the gasket. It goes around this thing, so it's both sides. Drops in that little well. The gasket standing upside. The top is going to seal it from the top, bottom from the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put a little Permatex #2 around the outside of this thing, just because it's a little pitted. And I'm also going to put a little bit around the hose neck here, just because it's pitted too. Chances are that clamp's going to seal it up enough, but the Permatex will do the rest. That hose will come all the way up in here, so I can smear it on here and it'll seal it up pretty good. Piece of cake. It just goes in here. Also, you can take that connector off and throw it back over here. Don't forget to put it back on. See, that'll just drop. Well, I got the hose right there. It'll drop right in there, like so. Now I'm gonna put the hose on it, clamp it back up, tighten it back up, put the connector back up, and then I'm going to continue put the rest of this thing together and get this thing going. Okay, here is everything assembled. New idler pulley, new fan pulley. It said my clutch is fairly new, repainted fan blade, new cross bypass hoses, new water pump. Saved the old belt because it's not very old. Put that on not too long ago, and put a new idler on it as well at the same time. A little disappointing because I also put, the tensioner, I also put a new idler on it when I did that, and you saw what the idler looked like. It was worn out. So I'm going to flush it now. They say, of course, fill it full of water, drain all the coolant out of it, fill it full of water, run it for 10 minutes, drain all the water back out, put the flush in it. They say drain it by the petcock, which is, who knows, down there. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to leave this top shroud off, and I'm going to pull that lower radiator hose and drain the whole smear that way. Let's see, 10 millimeters for these. This, of course, gets the big crescent wrench stuck on there. Give it a couple of good bangs on there just to tighten it up. This thing runs so that it tightens this nut when it's going, so it's not ever going to back off. Make sure you get your belt in the right place. 14 millimeters for the water pump. The belt instructions, of course, are on the hand shroud, which is important. Make sure everything's all right. A little pain in the butt if you don't look at it and realize how this sucker goes. It goes in a weird position. Down there and back over here and down there and back over. 3/8 drive ratchet for the tensioner to relieve it. Okay, let me go ahead and get this thing ready for its flushing. Get some water to drain out and I'll come back.